And everybody, it's Scott, and I'm going to be doing more weekly comic hauls. So this one's a little late. This week I know I had to work this morning, and having a 4-year-old around kind of makes it a little difficult to get anything like this done. So, and of course, as you can tell, unlike previous weeks, I am trying something different as far as the way I'm going to share my my weekly books with you. So hopefully this works. If it does, then this is how I'll be doing it from here on in. So first up this week is Amazing Spider-Man number 252, and this is the Marvel Facsimile Edition. And for those of you who don't know, the Marvel Facsimile Editions are kind of like the True Believers. The main difference between the two being, of course, the Facsimile Editions are an exact reprint of the original book. So you get the story, and of course you get the art and the cover, but you also get all the advertisements, the original advertisements, the original if there's any like bullpens or anything like that was in the original book, they're going to be in this as well. So these are really awesome. I think the next one I'm going to be getting is Howard the Duck number 1, which is, to me, that's so awesome because I love that series. So this was the first book I got this week. The next one actually is one that I had won from my local comic book shop. Basically, every week, my local comic shop has a selection of comics that when you buy them, you get a raffle ticket that you can put towards one of a select number of variant covers that you can win. So this is from last week. This is Ash vs. Army of Darkness, number 3, number 2 or 3. I think it's number 2. Yeah, it's number 2. And this is the hack cover. Looks like a VHS box art, and this is the Virgin variant. So there's no Army of Darkness. I'm sorry, it's Army of Darkness versus Bubba Hotep logos on it. So this is Army of Darkness versus Bubba Hotep. Clearly, I have another show on my mind a lot lately. So this was the second book that I was able to pick up this week. Next up, Guardians of the Galaxy number 4. This is the current run. I have always enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, not always. When Annihilation came out, Annihilation Conquest, they brought back the concept of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I enjoyed it. I kind of enjoyed it a lot less and stopped reading them shortly after the movie came out because the movie kind of treated the whole concept as a joke. And then they did some comics after that, and the comics treated them as a joke as well. And then the series was too funny, too jokey, and I just couldn't get into it, so I dropped it for the longest time. But with this one here, there was this series had a variant cover. I think it was a Thanos variant cover that I really wanted, so I picked that up, wound up reading it, and it was a decent read. It's taking the concept seriously now. It's kind of expanded what characters are used in the series, and for the most part, I really do like the characters that they've added, like Beta Ray Bill and Wraith from Annihilation. Moondragon is pretty cool to see her again, and Phyla-Vell. The only character that I kind of wish they would get rid of is Cosmic Ghost Rider. I mean, I know he's a tremendously popular character right now, but honestly, he's one that I cannot stand. I was excited about him when I first heard about it, but then I read this first appearance, and that became not only the last issue of Thanos that I read, but it just his personality I don't like. The whole idea of it just does I just don't like it. So he's the only character that I don't really care for. I kind of hope they drop him soon. I don't care what they do with him. He's the only blemish on this series as far as I'm concerned. But other than that, the book is really good for a Marvel title. It's a lot of fun, and I'm very curious as to where they're going to go with this. They're doing the story right now where Thanos, of course, he was killed. And in his will, which turned out to be more of a threat than a will, he said that he's figured out a way basically to upload his consciousness into another being, in essence being able to make himself reborn as a new being. So there's two factions. There's Guardians of the Galaxy led by Star-Lord, and there's another team of cosmics led by Eros, the brother of Thanos, who is trying to hunt down anybody who he thinks is a possible candidate for Thanos and kill them before they become Thanos. And the first person that they're going after is Gamora, and of course Star-Lord and Gamora have had flings here and there, and so this team of the Guardians is trying to protect her. The other team is trying to kill her, and basically all hell's going to break loose. And the direction it's going now, it's very fun. So I'm very much enjoying it. So next up, Middle West from Image Comics. This is Scotty Young's newest series. He isn't drawing it, but he is writing it, and unlike his I Hate Fairyland series, this is not so much a joke book. It's I guess you could say it's kind of a coming of age Goonies meets never-ending story type series. This boy, mystery about where he kind of came from. His dad is the man up here. That's his dad, who at the beginning of the series gets so angry he turns into basically a human tornado. And the boy here somehow ends up from our world, ends up in this other place called Middle West. And he's basically trying to figure out what the heck is going on with his dad, with him, because he's starting to exhibit the same kind of powers that his dad has, where if he gets too angry, he becomes this human tornado. So it's just kind of a quest where this kid is trying to figure out who he is. And it's a lot of fun. It's a very entertaining book. So I'm going to go on to the next couple of books that we've got. Alright, so the next round of books that I picked up this week, Spider-Man, City at War, number 2 of 6. This was one of those books that I wasn't too sure about at first, but let me kind of adjust myself here. Wasn't too sure about it at first, but it's ending up being a really fun book. It kind of feels like an old school Marvel comic. There's not a whole lot of continuity. This is basically, this version of Spider-Man is the one that's in the PS4 Spider-Man game, and it's just kind of building his world and expanding on, I guess, some of the concepts and characters that they had in the video game. I didn't play the video game, not much of a gamer myself, but this book is very entertaining. So I would say if you're looking for a good, fun, continuity-free Spider-Man story, definitely check it out. Conversely, if you are looking for a if you really enjoyed the game and want to know more about this character, this version of Spider-Man, this is definitely the book you want to check out. So it's a lot of fun, great art, story's great, characterizations are awesome. So I definitely recommend it if you're looking for a good, fun Spider-Man series. And then I grabbed a couple of True Believers. So with the True Believers, as everybody should be aware by now, I imagine, the True Believers are $1 reprints of classic and both classic and contemporary classic Marvel stories. So this month they're doing another round of Avengers books, and I may or not read them all. I'm still going to pick them up because I like having these books. I like having these characters and these concepts in my collection. So this one is Avengers Endgame. We got Avengers The Gatherer Saga. I mean, this one, for some reason, I've always really liked this cover, so I was kind of glad to get this. And next up is one of the things I don't really care for with the True Believers line, and that is the way that they end up changing. They have a habit of changing the titles of the books. So this is actually Infinity Gauntlet number 6, and they've retitled it Avengers Thanos: The Final Battle. Now you do get the full double-sized issue of Infinity Gauntlet number 6, so you can see how the story ended, and you get the whole thing for just $1. For a Marvel book, that's amazing, that's astounding, and it's definitely worth checking out. So if I am remembering right, with this one having come out, that means half of the Infinity Gauntlet has been reprinted as part of the True Believers line. We got issues 1, issue 3, and 6. So excuse me. So if they do the other issues that are needed, people can get the entire Infinity Gauntlet run and pay $6 for it, which is kind of cool, actually. So that's what I got for the True Believers. Now, just like last week, for anybody who watched my video last week, I shared some 4 of my favorite, I guess, signed covers. And so I have 4 spots left on my wall, so I decided to do something similar, but this time I am going to be doing 4 of my favorite Ghost Rider covers. And here are 4 of my favorite Ghost Rider covers, starting off with Ghost Rider, and these are all going to be the Ghost Riders from the 1990s, the Danny Ketch series, mostly because this is the series that got me into collecting comic books in the first place back in early 1990, starting with this one here, Ghost Rider Volume 2, Number 1. And this is actually I have another copy of this that has the doesn't have the barcode in the bottom. It has it's the newsstand edition, but this is the one that started it. This is the book that I saw when I walked into my comic book shop back in 1990, and I used to go in there to grab Fangoria, Gore Zone, Toxic Horror, Slaughterhouse, all these horror movie magazines. Excuse me. And one week I decided to check out and see what these comic book things were all about. So I just saw the top part, the flaming skull, a little bit of the chains there, and the spikes, and of course a really sweet logo. And like, I gotta check this out. This looks like an interesting read. So I picked it up and took it home, and the second issue came out, and the third issue came out, and then shortly after that I got into stuff like the Infinity Gauntlet, Darkhawk, Sleepwalker, Silver Surfer, and then expanded into Evil Ernie, which led me to the EC Comics, and all just kind of exploded. Excuse me, all from this one book. So this is the foundation of my comic book collection for the past 39 years. This is the foundation. This is where it all began. So this will always be my #1 favorite all-time cover. Next up, it's going to be Ghost Rider number 15. Now Ghost Rider 15 is known for being one of the first glow-in-the-dark covers. I think it actually was the very first glow-in-the-dark cover. They went into 2 printings. This one's the first printing with a black background. Second printing had the gold background. Now this, of course, also is signed by Mark Texiera. I have 2 of these that are signed by Tex. This one was from 2004, and the other one was from a couple years later, but this also is one of my favorite covers of all time. I actually have a couple of these floating around my comic book room. Sometimes I like to hang them up on the wall, let them energize, and just look at a glow-in-the-dark Ghost Rider, just flaming skull, hanging on my wall. It's pretty awesome. And next up, excuse me, Ghost Rider number 45. This has just always been one of my favorite Ron Garney covers for Ghost Rider. It just seems to me it's just dynamic. Excuse me again. It's dynamic. It's action. It's just got a lot of action going on, and I like the even not the blood gimmick on the cover. I like that it doesn't really have a background to it. It's just Ghost Rider just unleashing his chain and just getting ready to kick butt and take names, and always been one of my favorite covers. I always kind of hoped that they would have this and make a poster, do something with this image. I've always really liked this cover. And finally, Ghost Rider number 90. This was towards the end of the run. It says Last Temptation Part 1, back in blue. Reason for this is because at some point they changed Ghost Rider's costume. He was orange and yellow and was more neo-punk than he was, hell driver, hell blazing, hellfire wielding, flaming skull spirit of vengeance. He actually looked kind of stupid in my own personal opinion, and they decided to finally fix the whole thing about 3 issues before the end of the series. And while it sucked that the series ended, at least we got Ghost Rider back the way he was supposed to be. So and this one, I don't know, he's just so menacing, and just I don't know, this is the image of Ghost Rider that I like, and always been one of my favorite covers. So these are the books that I picked up this week. These are my favorite Ghost Rider covers, at least 4 of them. There's many more, but I only got 4 spots on my wall. So let's take a look at the entirety of what I got this week. And there you go. These are all the new books that I picked up this week. The one that I won as part of a raffle from my awesome comic book shop, Nostalgia Inc., here in Jackson, Michigan, as well as 4 of my favorite Ghost Rider covers. So hopefully I was able to talk up something that somebody out there might be willing to try, maybe pick up a new series, be it Guardians of the Galaxy or the Spider-Man City of Fear, or even Middle West. It's just some really good books out there. And once again, before I wrap this up, I always recommend and always encourage, no matter what you're into, no matter what you're curious about, it's always worth it to pick up a book. Grab the books that you normally get, yes, but every once in a while it's a good idea to grab something new, something different. It's good to expand your horizons, and just try something new. You never know. You might find something that normally you may not be interested in, like Middle West is normally not a book I would check out, but I read the first issue on a whim, actually on a recommendation from my good friend Cody Lockwood from Lockwood's Loot, and I wound up really enjoying it, and here we are 6 issues in, and I'm still very much enjoying the series. So get out there, try something new. You got free comic book day coming up in a couple of weeks. It's the perfect opportunity to try something new and check out some great books from your local comic book shop. So signing off for another week. Sorry this went kind of long, trying different things. Hopefully next week it'll be a little more streamlined. So we will see everybody later. Thanks a lot.